Previously, on Adventure Awaits, you found out that Siegfried had in fact been captured by the guards and was soon to be taken up to Waterdeep to stand possibly a trial. Juliet, Jen, Kai, and Mercedes went down to speak with some guards, though Kai, you skillfully held back as you noticed one of these guards you had interacted with before, and he might recognize you. Unfortunately, due to some bad deception, Mercedes, Juliet, and Jin were also taken into custody, where you found the true horrors of what Siegfried had been experiencing. Taken in underground, who knows how far and how much time has passed, into a drow prison, where you were interrogated ruthlessly for some information. Two of your compatriots remained above, Orsik and Kai. They met up and began to make their way around the main guardhouse in an attempt to gather some information. It is about 6:30 or so, a little after sunset here along the Sword Coast.
Try to peek out my head and see if I see any guards, any people around.
Okay, make a perception check. You were along the very long backside of the way in. You look left and look right. There's a few obstructions, especially with all the carts that people could be hiding behind, but at least in the main walkway up next to the building, you don't see any other of the like walking around.
Okay, let's go. I'm gonna
Yes.
get out of the cart.
Orsik will follow suit.
All right, where are you heading?
I guess the closest cart wouldn't hurt.
You head over to one of the carts next to you. Does seem to possibly be one of the other merchant carts. It actually has construction gear in it. A more medieval version of hard hats out of carved, very thin carved stone. Overalls made out of maybe a jean-like material.
These overalls are so cute.
But I don't think that's going to help us in this situation.
We could use them as disguises, though.
Yeah,
I'm just gonna take two.
So both of you go ahead and make investigation checks for me as you start going from cart to cart looking for these types of supplies. You do find some very tightly wound, not like hempen rope, but more like kind of hempen string or wire that would be used to tie beams together,
Nice.
along with nails for supporting. So the stuff is thinner and very strong material, along with the tools cart. Every tool available looks to be in here for construction. Hammers, long shelf life rations, things that can stand up to hot, cold, moisture.
Okay, I'm gonna probably grab some rations and any tools that I can find that could be like really helpful.
And he says with a very serious look on his face, "Do you see any baked goods?"
I don't think there's any baked goods. Only things that can last. We could definitely grab some cinnamon buns, maybe after our little rescue mission.
Excellent.
Well,
All right, so heading over to the guard post to look for side or back entrances.
Right.
Yeah.
I say we stealth over there.
Probably within the next few hours, there'll be a small layer of snow over the ground.
Hey!
All right. Begin making your way over through the back side of the way in and find some bushes behind more buildings to move your way across. The presence of the guard that's been over here in the last few hours after this incident has really died down. There's only a couple patrols walking through the main thoroughfares out front. A lot of the guards have exited their posts on the walls, and though the bridges are still turned, and you find your way to the backside of the guard outpost, a kind of smaller two-story building, smooth stone with wood beams across it for support. You see plenty of lights on inside. There are many windows, both first and second floor, and you hear quite a bit of chatter going on the inside.
can I check in the window real quick?
While she does that, I'm gonna keep watch.
Okay, go ahead and make a perception check also. In sync you two are. Beautiful. This window from the backside seems to be a connecting room from the main front guard area into the holding cells. You see many tables about that some guards sit and seem to be maybe writing out some paperwork of some sort, and you see a bunch of items laid out across pretty much the tables that line the walls on two sides of this room. You can immediately identify some of these items. These are your companions' backpacks and clothing that is now laid out and seems to be being cataloged. You can easily clock the two sitting down writing stuff, but past that, there's a lot of people moving around. Your best guess is anywhere from 5 to 8 guards.
There's just a lot of going on. Maybe around 5 to 8. Can't really tell.
Too many to take down at once. I immediately look up. Is there a window above the floor that we're beside?
There is a couple fairly accessible windows on this side of the building that you can see. They seem to be well lit right now. As you two are talking, Kai, you actually hear the sounds of footsteps cracking on leaves approaching you from the side of the building and seem to be about to round the corner.
Oh, shit. I'm just gonna grab Orsik real quick and then just find a place to hide.
Go ahead and both of you make stealth checks for me. You try to duck down in some bushes that are alongside the backside of this building. You look behind you and see Arthrid carrying a bright orange cat rounding the corner.
Psst! Hey! Arthrid!
Hey, how's it going?
Oh boy, are we glad that we found you.
Not really, but where were you?
Oh.
Finding this cat.
Some things went down and we need to help rescue...
Yeah, I know.
Oh, wait, how do you know?
I don't know. I just know. Old man died, snake person was arrested, and now 3 others are too. Really nice lady, mean girl with the book, and weird fire guy.
How would you like to cause a distraction for us so we can help rescue the nice lady, mean girl, and fireman?
I can walk in there just speaking a random language. Will that distract them?
It might, to a degree.
Okay.
No.
And you see as he he kind of lets go of the cat, and the cat just disappears.
Wait, Arthur,
And
Arthur, wait.
As he starts
Whoa.
walking back around the other side of the building.
I say at this point, we just take our hands off the wheel with that child. In that case, let's climb up the side of the building and go to the 2nd floor.
Go ahead and make an acrobatics check for me. Kind of pulling yourself up on these wooden beams that stick slightly out from the facade of the building. Go ahead and make a perception check for me to see what's inside. And this seems to be kind of a common barracks room that has maybe anywhere from 10 to 12 bunk beds in it. Different chests and such. There's maybe 3 people in this room trying to sleep. You don't know.
Is going to climb back down and let her know that there's 3 people sleeping up in that room.
You both kind of catch a glance as Arthrid comes back around the corner.
Oh, thank God.
So I talked with him for a little while. The language I made up for a little bit. Then left.
Okay.
I don't know what they thought.
But you want to save that nice lady.
None of the 4 that I named earlier are in there.
What?
Huh?
I mean, maybe at once they were, and he just like points to the window with all the stuff in it, as he is standing in full view of this window right now.
Oh, look.
And just walks away.
You should maybe change how you look. You said someone saw you?
Maybe if I go in without the hood.
I give you little eyebrows like, overalls.
I'll wear the overalls.
Should we knock? Should we just walk in?
I say knocking would be preferable.
Okay. Knock, knock.
Talking inside still, quite a few guards have been up and moving around. They're all making reports, whatever it be. Your little knock doesn't seem to be heard.
Maybe just open the door?
Okay.
Yes.
Creak.
Okay. As you open the door, you see what at first glance looks to be about 10, 12 guards on the inside. Quite a large front room, multiple desks around, and you see a familiar face of a taller, green-scaled dragonborn, Rusorth, who you met as you first entered the way in. She looks up at you. Hi there, how's it going?
Hi, hello. We're looking for a kid.
Go ahead and make a deception check for me. Do you happen to be looking for your friends, too?
Why, what's wrong with them?
You don't know, huh? As she kind of looks over and she gives a little double tap on her desk. as the other guards kind of turn around and notice this call of hers to their attention. And about probably 10 guards start making their way over towards you. Well, your friends are involved in some pretty shady stuff.
What happened?
What happened?
They closed the door you came in from. So your friends have been arrested for murder.
We were busy doing shopping, so we heard what happened today. We didn't know our friends were involved.
That's where I got these overalls.
She kind of looks you up and down now, actually taking in your apparel.
Dude,
I liked you
Do you
better
like-
before, actually.
I did too,
Well-
to be honest.
Then why'd you buy them?
I liked it a lot. My persuasion was really good.
Should find someone else to pick your clothes for you. Anyways, as of a few hours ago, when this incident happened, all 6 of you were described at being at the scene of the crime. Though it would seem now that all of our eyewitnesses have retracted their statements and have no idea who was at the scene of the crime, even though just 3 hours ago we had over 20 witnesses that could post you there, including a couple that at first claimed they saw you breaking into the room where the murder occurred. And suddenly they don't ever remember walking down that hallway or seeing that. So I don't know what I should do here.
There was the little kid that walked in. He told us that our friends aren't here.
You said you lost him? Was that true?
We were actually trying to find him.
She turns to 2 other guards and motions them both forward and starts whispering to both of them as they kind of stand at attention, give her a small salute, and then walk out. They're going to go look for your child.
Okay,
Thank
thank
you.
you.
There should be 2 guards in there in the hallway of holding cells, and your 4 friends are filling up our cells right now.
Would it be okay if you obviously come with us? Can we check on them?
At this point, we'll not let you talk to them. I will go back and confirm that they are still in our custody, while my wonderful associates here keep an eye on you as she heads back in through a series of corridors and back rooms. About another 30 seconds or so passes. You hear footsteps come from behind as the door swings open and you see Rusorth standing there. You 2 with me now.
Okay, we'll follow her.
Yeah.
Okay. The guards walk along with you as she leads you back past the connector room where you saw before with all your friends' stuff out on all the tables, and begins leading you through another door into a kind of reinforced stone hallway, probably only wide enough for about 2 regular people. 2 guards in the same kind of armor and attire, seemingly unconscious in the hallway as all of the doors to all the holding cells are open. She reaches down and turns them over as they were laying face down, and you see a pale white face, nothing but a layer of skin and bone, as it seems all of their life was sucked from their body. The only way out of here is through this door that you just came through. We've had 30 plus guards in this building the entire time. There are no windows that weren't within someone's view. So you tell me,
I think they were taken.
who would take them? Please give me something to go on why 4 of your friends are missing. I have 2 guards dead by a means that I have not seen in over 30 years.
Maybe one of them has enemies that they haven't told us about?
The old man that passed away.
He should still be down at Leo Frick's place, kind of our only doctor really in the area.
Did he have anything on him, like any sort of like paperwork, documentation?
Come out here, and she leads you out into the kind of connecting room where stuff's spread out, and she goes off to one corner that seems to be you can recognize the clothes of the old man, and there's just a leather-bound notebook, and that's it.
It be okay if we could look in the notebook?
Go ahead.
Well, I would say look over your shoulder, but he's nowhere near tall enough.
I'll lower the book.
Thank you.
On my hip.
Orsik, you do not understand or even recognize the language that this is written in,
Oh,
but Kai, you do. This is written in Undercommon. It's most definitely written in some type of code. From what you can gather that's kind of uncoded or is obvious, seems to be some sort of log of different names and places.
maybe there's some sort of tunnel underneath the barracks?
There's an old staircase that was sealed up to a basement cellar long ago.
Would it be possible for us to take down that wall? Like every lead could help out, even though that it's a small chance.
Go ahead and try. We'll rebuild it, I guess. As you actually start heading over to the wall, you hear the main door open, and in walks Arthrid with a bright orange cat in his arms once again.
Well, that solves one of our problems.
I feel like at first she just wants to kick it just cause.
Kai, you kick at it. I need you to roll dexterity saving throws for me. Both of you, as you are in motion, you hear Arthrid from behind you go, "No, don't do that!" You were expecting something hard, right? This is a stone wall. You are met with a forceful kickback when you hit it, and both of you are blasted 20 feet down the hallway
Oh my
as you
god.
land and slide down on your backs. So that will only be 7 force damage to each of you.
Oh,
Back! Oh,
She walks over with another guard, and both of them help you up.
you never said it could do that. Oh.
I didn't know it
usually
could
do
do
that.
that. You both now see Arthrid walking straight towards the wall, and he walks straight through it.
yeah, we're just gonna walk through the wall.
Yeah.
You push through this barrier and kind of pop out on the other side as you see this long staircase heading down into darkness. You're dizzy. The wall's almost spinning around you in a way, and the staircase looks infinitely long. After some amount of time, a few seconds, a few hours, the guards finally, like heavy breathing, about to fall over, stop, and Rusorth says, "We'll catch up with you. We must rest." As you two plus Arthrid begin walking further down the staircase once again, all of a sudden, as you just take a glance out a few stairs in front of you on your right, there's a door just in the middle of the staircase along the right wall. The stairs continue past it. You take a quick glance out of curiosity behind you. The guards are nowhere in sight.
Took us this long to find the door. Maybe if we leave maybe a mark, it could help out.
The overalls.
I
Sorry.
think they look good. No, you should. I'm gonna try to persuade you. Like Orsik, this is a new you.
Insight versus Kai's persuasion or deception, your choice. You know what, Orsik?
Yeah?
Maybe they are looking a little bit good on you. You should give it a chance.
Maybe you're right. Okay, fine. In that case, I will leave a silver coin.
Arthur reaches up and tries the door handle, and it's unlocked. You see, sitting in a circle around a glowing purplish blue orb. Both of you go ahead and make history checks for me. Orsik, from your extended studies back in your hometown, and Kai, from where you come from, legends and descriptions that were passed down. These purple-skinned, tall humanoid creatures, elongated, a large, bald head with what looks maybe 4 tentacles coming out from the chin.
Oh.
They don't seem to notice your presence. 6 of them sit around this purplish black orb, humming in some sort of meditation. Sitting in a circle
God.
are 6 mind flayers. What does notice your presence, though, is standing off in the corner, tall, skinny, pale humanoid creature, pointy ears, in a black kind of studded leather armor with spiked chains wrapped around its arms. Whips the chains out as they begin to glow with this dark purple energy and begins walking towards you. Orsk and Kai, if I could please have you roll initiative.
Ah.
Ooh boy. Fucking mind flayers.
18.
18,
Oh.
hell yeah.
Hey, let's go. You can go first, Orsik.
Okay.
Up first, Orsik.
I'll use my free action to ask Arthrid. Child, is that orb the cause of this mess?
Arthrid will turn to you and just shrug, as he still has this bright orange cat in his arms.
And then he's going to turn around. I use a bonus action, Master Tactics, and give Kai the help action, which will give you advantage. Kai, do what you can to get that orb. Destroy it, catch it, whatever you have to do. I'll go ahead and distract this man. And that's when Orsk is going to go up, and he's going to use the dodge action.
We go to Kai.
Before she does anything, can I check real quick of like what this orb is?
If you want to get a look at it, you could use your action to make a perception check, or are you just very quickly glancing?
Can I just quickly glance?
It is a large, probably 4 or 5 foot in diameter sphere that seems to be kind of fuzzy at the edges all around and have this black mist that's coming out of it, and it just seems to kind of just float there on its own. These 6 mind flayers around it, seems that this orb is following their hums as they all kind of hum in unison with a and it seems to pulsate with the orb. The longer you look into it, even for just this brief second or two, the more confused you get.
I'll just shoot my arrow at the orb.
22, I will say, will hit. Notch back this arrow and kind of lean past one of these humming mind flayers. They don't seem to care about your presence right now. Their eyes are just completely white over. Let this arrow fly and it just disappears for a second into this orb before you begin to hear this kind of crackling electricity come out, and your arrow flies back past you towards the door, electrified this time, and it notches itself in the wall behind you. And you see there's kind of a hole left in this orb where you can kind of see almost deeper into this void.
And my turn for now.
Okay. As it now comes to the drow in front of you, Orsik. It can sense you want to fight. It's going to take the chains around it, and it's going to whip them at you. That is going to be...
I mean, taking the dodge action, it'll
It
get
does have
disadvantage, yeah?
disadvantage.
Okay, cool.
Yes. 2 natural 18s, so that will be a 24 in total to hit. That will be 7 piercing damage. You feel it start to wrap around you, and these spikes in it start to embed itself. Make a dexterity saving throw for me.
Oh my god.
Instinctively try to duck and get your small form out of the way. Unfortunately, it's too late. You feel these chains pull up to you. You are now grappled until the end of its next turn. Up next, we have Arthrid, who you see kind of at this point, like he sees you guys starting to fight, and his face is visibly confused, and he's like, Arthrid disappears. We're back up to Orsik's turn. You are still currently grappled by this creature.
An attempt to get out of it, or?
I believe it is strength save, actually.
Wow.
Oof. Dig in and start grinding down your arms and your shoulders even more. Blood's pouring down both sides. You cannot get out of this right now.
Alright, in that case, I'll use my help action to shout as he's still being grappled. Guy, keep going! I think it's working! Oh, there's a lot of blood over here!
Alrighty, and with that, Kai.
So when the arrow shot back, did it shot back like in a straight line? The way she
Pretty
got
much, yeah. Shot back and kind of threaded the needle past you, Orsik, and Arthrid, and just embedded itself in the wall back by the door over here.
I'm gonna shoot at it again.
You're disoriented, and so you kind of take an extra second to notch that arrow, and it does land straight in a different spot this time, and creates another hole as you hear this crackling of electricity once more before it spits the arrow back almost the exact same way. And Orsk, you feel this kind of electrified arrow just buzz right past the back of your head and land in the wall next to you.
Ooh.
Can I move? Okay, so you know where Orsik is? The second square to his right. I'm good.
Drow kind of notices you walk, and you kind of like duck between the chain that's going from its arm around Orsik right now, and you just kind of limbo under. With its turn up now, it will whip it back, and it kind of immediately just unravels and unwraps itself from you, Orsk, as you're just breathing a sigh of relief as it comes at you once again.
Oh, wow.
You're doing a good job!
Thanks, I tried.
That will be a +6. That will be a 13 to hit.
Oh, thank God. It just missed my AC.
Seems like the drow was kind of preoccupied with watching Kai walk by, and the chain wrap back around the drow's arm once again as it takes its other arm and swipes at you, Kai.
Ah, shit.
That will be a dirty 20 to hit.
Ah, shit.
And that will be 11 piercing damage, and I need you to make a dex save for me.
That's an 18.
18, you save. This drow as it kind of scowls at you, and that will be its turn. After you kind of duck out of this chain, you hear this sound as Arthur reappears in the doorway once again. Sees the amount of blood just pouring down from Orsik's shoulders right now, and he's like, eh. As he's gone again.
Thanks for the help, Arthur, as Orsik rolls his eyes.
All right, Orsik.
Draw out his short sword. He's gonna take, move 5 feet right beside Kai, and he's gonna say, "All right, new plan. Let's get this son of a bitch." And he's gonna take his action to swing. Will there be a third nat 1? Yes! Oh my god!
Oh my
Why
god.
did you call it?
Wow.
Why is the dice angry at you tonight?
I don't know.
My stomach hurts.
What are the odds?
All right, I'm gonna use my help action to give Kai advantage. Fuck.
We go to Kai.
She doesn't even know if Arthur can hear her, but she's like, "Hey, kid, if you could do something about the orb, that'd be great."
Make a persuasion check for me.
Persuasion? 23. Come here.
Hey.
All right.
Come here.
Noted.
Is it possible for me to shoot the orb and have that arrow ricochet back and hit the drow?
Oh.
You can certainly try.
I'll
will
take
be a
it.
Way higher DC. You let this arrow fly, and you hear it go into this orb once more as this electricity crackles. Starts flying back at you, both Orsik and Kai. Time almost feels to slow for a second. As this arrow, Kai, looks to be coming back straight towards you. The drow begins leaning in for another attack, and it puts its shoulder up as it intercepts this arrow. The electricity begins arcing all around its body, almost completely covering. I need more dice. That's what I-
More dice? Hell yeah!
Wait, that worked! Wait.
Your
Way
DC
to
was
go,
18.
Kai.
Yes!
Nice.
Hell yeah!
Yes!
Very
Thank you for
nice.
that advantage!
You're welcome. I'm glad I gave it to you. It made up for me rolling 3 nat 1s in a row.
I will let you know, since it is now dead,
Oh, yes!
that this arrow would have done 27 damage to you.
Oh.
This drow lets out this blood-curdling scream as its muscles tense, and it explodes in electric
Whoa.
energy.
Hell yeah!
You hear these mind flares begin humming faster and faster in their rhythm. As this orb begins to expand, and it starts to consume these mind flares. And once it does, and they completely disappear, this orb collapses in on itself. And silence falls upon the room as all 6 of you begin to feel your mind slowly starting to return to its previous self. Boros, Mercedes, Juliet, and Jen. As this is happening, you see Eris, your interrogator, caught off guard as she turns her head. Boros, it seems that last time you felt it, the field wasn't fully down. But this time it is. Your vision actually begins to fade momentarily, before you wake up, seemingly a second later, back in your cells. Not upstairs, but the ones down here. You look at your body where cuts, stab wounds, and burns have been over the past, what feels like maybe years. But they're not there. The 4 of you are now full HP, though you still hurt. More mental pain, maybe, though you cannot see any physical wounds on your body. As this orb and these mind flares have disappeared. Orsik and Kai, what are you doing?
Alright, now that we're done here, I guess we should get the guards. Be best if we come in numbers.
Is his stuff still there, by the way?
No. Everything kind of vaporized and melted into this electricity that happened, and nothing of his survived. You hear behind you footsteps as you begin to see the 4 guards that came with you now begin coming into the room, led by Rusor. They kind of look you up and down. Orsik, oh my. Rusor kind of snaps to the side, and one does bring up a healing potion for you.
Thank you.
9 hit points.
Ooh.
That's better than what I thought it was gonna be.
Do you think you have an extra one?
Yeah, and she points to one of the other guards, who will pull out. This is all we have, though.
Well, you missed all the fun. 6 mind
7 hit
flares.
points, Kai.
7? Okay, thank you.
6 mind flares, a drow, and some strange magic.
Mind flares?
And a body
Um,
blowing up.
And
That was fun.
Arthur
that was-
reappears.
That was Kai's doing. You should thank her that we're not in that haze anymore.
Yeah, she did good. You hear Arthur say as he's now reappeared, petting the cat.
As
saw the
for
whole
you,
thing.
Arthur, why did you cower like that and fled? I understand that you're but a child, but you are a child that possesses magic.
I didn't mean to. I got scared and it happened.
But listen, next time when we are confronted with danger, just try to be a little bit more brave. I mean, you want to save Juliet, right?
Yeah.
Well, she and the others are down there, and we need your help. Can you do that?
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And Orsik will go over and pat him on the shoulder.
All right. Meanwhile, in your cells, you all have kind of approached your doors. The field blocking you from touching the bars is now no longer there, as you can hear your compatriots moving around and kind of mumbling to themselves.
Okay. That takes care of that. Jen? Juliet? Mercedes? Are you there?
God, Juliet just wants to finally say nothing and just make him panic for a minute because he fucking lied to her.
Wow, what a dick!
Wow.
Henny. Fortunately, Juliet has absolutely no ability to shut up. Instead, she's gonna be like, yeah, Boris.
Boros. Thank you.
My head's out the window. I'll go ahead and cast Produce Flames. That way Jin can see where I am. Like, can you see me?
That is an important note. As Mercedes, you stick your hand out and this flame appears. Jen, you can now once again feel the elements around you.
Yes, Mercedes.
I can see that flame from here. I can't thank you how much that you are here.
Anyone
let's
strong
do
enough
that.
to bust out?
Make a running shoulder check on the door.
Surprisingly, since no one had tried, it doesn't seem as though these were locked or latched in any way, just heavy doors. As you run into it and you actually slam into the wall on the other side.
It's like a cartoon.
I would like to just open mine,
You guys
just like
keep doing-
really sarcastically.
Who's the closest person to me?
To you would be Juliet.
I'm going to run up to
Insulted.
Julia and just hug her.
Oh.
I'm gonna awkwardly pat your head way down there, and be like, "Hey,
Oh yeah, sorry. Not time for the touchy feelings.
all right. I'm pretty sure I got stabbed a lot.
Stab
Erica
me,
was kind of a
respect
bitch.
me. Yeah, assuming.
We're saying the same
I might-
thing.
Mercedes, are you okay?
I'm good. I'm glad to know it all wasn't real.
You kind of
Oh.
shut down there. You were speaking Abyssal.
I'll quickly turn
Orsik-
and walk the other way.
All right. Orsik and Kai, from up where you are at, you can hear conversation happening down these stairs.
Ooh, do we recognize the voices?
Very faintly, you can. You hear your
Okay.
compatriots talking down there. And you begin walking down.
Yeah.
Alright.
As you get down around this corner, you can see a large door here. You see a drow that has just come out as it sees you.
Going to rosin up his bow and fire.
If he's gonna shoot at the drow, I'll also shoot the drow.
Go ahead and make attacks, please.
Alrighty. Hey,
Hey.
good. Not at that
Nice.
one.
Both of you go ahead and roll damage for me.
Woo!
7 for me.
They both kind of land solid hits in the chest area. This drow is already looking pretty hurt. as it starts to turn and begins to run.
I'm going to instead give Kai the help action.
All right, 14 on this one will just hit.
Yes.
Starts to run, and you can hear it's just about to start making a sound as this arrow hits it in the back, and it falls over. The other 4, you hear down the hallway the sounds of footsteps, some muffled talking, and you hear a large as that body hit the ground.
Kai, good job. And Wes is gonna give you a high five. A quiet one, right? Because we're still
You guys are the
sticking
worst at stealth.
Should reciprocate that quiet high five. Yeah. Let's go check out the body.
The others, what are you doing with these sounds that you have heard?
Like to scooch to the end of that hall and kind of peek around to where we can see quietly.
Go ahead and both of you
Cool.
make perception checks for me in this dark hallway.
Oh man, you literally just missed us.
Oh joy!
You can
up.
see the staircase, but you didn't see the tail end of the guards walking around the corner. Go ahead and everyone roll stealth for me.
I'm gonna give us all pass without a trace.
Everyone can
Hey.
add plus 10 to their rolls.
Thank you, I needed it.
Orsik and Kai, go ahead and roll investigation checks for me for
Okay.
this drow's body.
All right, Arthur, pay attention. This is what we call spelunking and pillaging in the business.
Between the two of you, you do find the drow is covered in a full set of studded leather armor. If you'd like to take that off, they do have the 2 chains, though they are now seemingly just regular spiked chains. They don't seem to be glowing at all with any energy anymore. And that's actually it that is on this body.
Here, Arthur, these are for you. And I give him the leather armor and one of the chains.
Kind of like tries to carry
Kind
all
of
like a full
chain.
set of leather armor, and then you set the chain on top of it, and he's just holding his arms there. The cat like scurries up his shoulder and climbs around his neck, and he's just like,
Now you're a real adventurer, boy. And Ors kind of like scruffles his hair a little bit.
I need you both to roll dexterity checks for me.
15 as well.
As well.
Let's go.
All right. As he's kind of holding this leather armor and this chain, it kind of starts to get really heavy in his arms, and you see like he's about to drop them. You both have the reaction time to get your arms under it and stop this loud studded leather and chain from clanking to this dungeon floor.
I thought you were stronger than what you look.
I'm a kid. Starts to put the studded leather on that is way too big for him.
Sure.
You 4. Around the corner, you can see 7 figures further down the hallway that are hard to make out. I need the entire party to make stealth checks for me. The group of
Get
4
out.
Oh, wrong button.
can still
Apologize.
add plus 10.
16 again.
19.
14.
14. Oh man, what's our passives? Mine's 11.
Mine's
so...
14.
Hey!
Hey, definitely hear Juliet.
Those of you on either end who have passive that meet or beat it, you can just make out the voice on the other end, and it may be one of your party members.
I think that's Orsik and Kai.
What if it's a trap?
I'm a friend of shrooms.
This might be a mind trick. I can't see. It's dark in here.
Don't worry, I'll be your eyes. You may sound like our friends, but you might not be our friends.
That's definitely Orisk, because only Orisk would be dumb enough to shout in the middle of a fucking dungeon. We can go around the goddamn corner.
You guys do hear voices, like it reverberates off the walls. Those of you with dark vision, as you round the corner and Orsik and Kai, you close in, you can now tell. At least look like your friends.
Who are you?
I'm your friend, of course.
Well, this is
Siegfried doesn't
Boris.
sound like that.
But also, Siegfried's dad was Siegfried, and he's Boris. It's very confusing. There's a lot of lying and deception going on, which we are going to talk about later after we go up these stairs and get the fuck out of here.
I look at Juliet. Is there like a cut on her chest?
There does not appear to be, no. Her clothing is intact. These stab wounds, these burn wounds would have been. When you touch them, they hurt as if they were there, but there is no physical sign that they are there.
I believe we were in some mind game. This could be one of those
Mhm.
mind tricks as well.
Alright, quick quiz. What is something that only the real quote-unquote Boros would know? As he says quote-unquote, he's like holding up a hand and like you're doing the quotations, right?
I know you got a phoenix in your pocket. The order of the watches from last night. Who was first, who was second, who was third, who was fourth. That's only something we would know.
Jin, Siegfried, then you, Orsik, and then
Oh my
Juliet.
god.
That night feels like it was like 2 months ago.
I think it's safe to say that you are you and we are us.
Oh my god, we missed you guys.
As for your stuff, it's upstairs.
You feel a slight rumble beginning. All 4 guards plus Arthrid kind of have approached the door. Brusorth just kind of motions for you to come over. Doesn't say anything. Do you all begin heading your way over?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Begrudgingly.
As you all begin to approach and crowd around this door, begin to notice and feel this slight shaking and rumbling of the ground. And as you put your hands up to the door, it's much more intense. And you can tell as you got closer, whatever is the source of this rumble is coming from the other side of this very large door.
And Kai and Orsik tell that the rumbling is similar to what was happening in the last room we were in.
There was really no rumble involved until the kind of mini explosion per se. You have not felt a rumble like this.
It might be more mind flares. Stay on your toes.
More
What are you talking
mind
about?
flayers?
Did you just say mind flares?
Mindful.
Oh, yeah, there was a thing. We could talk about it later.
I think we need to talk about it now. What mind flayers?
Okay, she's gonna take out a bunch of like random construction tools. She's gonna take out a hand axe and a quarterstaff. Do anyone need this?
Yes, I grabbed the.
I could
quarterstaff
use
that you
that.
let me.
Alright, hand axe to Boros and then staff to Mercedes.
Here, Juliet, you can take this short sword. Orsik is going to hopefully silently open up the door, right?
I'll say a stealth check to open the door.
Okay, 19.
Open the door, you see on the other side, familiar to Orsk and Kai, one of these orbs, though this time it is already much larger. Seems to be about 8, maybe 9 feet in diameter. This dark black and purple, glowing and constantly shifting orb. As you see 2 drow, Eris, and for the hell of it, it's Rebecca. The
Damn,
other drow
Rebecca.
is Rebecca.
Rebecca!
Chains in hand, glowing, currently wrapped into this orb in some way as they seem to be growing it. I need everyone to roll initiative for me.
Okay.
Ooh, I love that
Oh.
21.
Or
Alright.
a reminder that also none of us are wearing armor.
Alright, so Orsik is going to ask the group, which one of these is the leader?
That one, as I poked at Eris.
I was also gonna mention we gotta be careful of that orb. There was this orb we destroyed where the mind flares were, and I believe it was the cause of the wooziness. Don't let it hit you, because we exploded a drow. There's some bits still on us.
At the top of the turn order, we have Mercedes.
How far is that person in front in the room?
The 55 feet, each of them.
Yeah, they're perfectly arranged. I'm gonna help the homies, and I'm gonna cast Fairy Fire.
Hey.
All right.
20
It
feet.
will
I
apply
can
to both of them.
Can I move back a little bit so I'm not directly?
Yeah, I'll say if you want to get right up against the wall, you can.
Yeah, I don't want to be like right in the direct fire.
And that comes to Boris.
Stroll into the room menacingly towards Eris.
She is 20 feet away from you.
That is too far from that. Okay, so I'm gonna action dodge, and that'll be my turn.
Okay. Good to know. It now comes to Eris's turn, who sees you begin to approach and kind of smirks and unwraps her chain from the orb. This casts dim light on them, right, Mercedes?
Yes, 10 foot of dim
Perfect.
light on both.
She's going to shadow jump and appear next
Oh,
to you,
shit.
Boros,
What are you waiting for?
with these chains. That is a natural 1 for her first
Yeah.
attack.
Sweet.
She will attack with her other chain. And that is a 12 to hit.
That is a miss.
All right. As she attempts to lash out with both chains, and you skillfully dodge. Well, this will be fun now, won't it?
Oh, it will. Let's dance.
And that is her turn. And Kai, we come to you, as you are the other one in this doorway here.
For Rebecca, do I have enough movement to be 30 feet away from her?
Yep, you can get there with half
Okay.
your movement.
I'm gonna charm person.
Ooh.
That is a natural 2. Has advantage because you are fighting them. So, let me double check.
No.
It might still work.
That's a natural 3.
Hey!
Her pupils actually enlarge, and
Okay.
the shape turn into butterflies, and her eyes slightly glow.
Oh wow, that's pretty cool.
Oh yes.
Let's walk this way, and I point to like the left of me, and I'll use the rest of my movement to move, to the left.
Go ahead and roll a persuasion check with advantage. As you kind of charm Mr. Rebecca over here, kind of looks at you, and this small kind of smirk comes across his face, and he's like, okay. And Orsik.
Enter the room, take a arrow, and unleash it onto Paris.
And roll
Yep.
with advantage, friend.
Ah yes, thank you.
She seems to be kind of preoccupied with Boros, and this arrow just kind of into her shoulder as she just gives a quick glance over to you, but looks back at Boros.
Boros, remember, your name may have changed, but you're still the same person I've known since I met you. And that's gonna be the help action.
It was dice.
All right, and with that, we go to Jen.
Walk in just right in front of the door, and my entire upper body just starts engulfing in flames. You see the fire dancing on my arms. Mercedes specifically would be aware, since she's understands arcane arts, that this is not something mages do. When people use fire, it's usually elevated away from their skin. I'm gonna move 2 spaces to the right and 1 space to the top next to Eris. So as my upper body is engulfed in flames, I'm going to do what is known as a horse kick. And I'm going to pop my foot as the fire swirls around my foot and just explodes right in front of her, and she has to make a strength save.
Okay.
Hell yeah.
Yes.
Sweet.
Strength save. That is a natural 5. Fuck me.
Let's go.
I'm gonna say, Kai, thanks for telling me about the orb, because Eris is now pushed into the orb.
Oh, yeah?
Oh!
You see her disappear for a second, going into the orb, pops out part way on the other side of it, though kind of her front part of her body is still engulfed within this orb as she's trying to stabilize herself. You all hear this kind of crackling of electricity start going through. Yeesh. All right. When she comes out of the other side, you see this electricity starting to dance around her body.
I'm gonna move 2 down, 1 to the right, and that's my turn.
Alrighty. We come now to Juliet.
I would like to move so that I am 30 feet in front of Erica. How
So if you
does
use
Erica
15,
look?
that's- She's hurt, and this electricity's crackling around her, but she's not on death's door or anything.
Okay, I'm gonna cast Compelled Duel on Erica.
Ooh, snap.
Okay.
Mmm.
That is
Against
a
me.
natural 14, so I believe that's a
Yeah,
16.
she'll pass. Yeah. That's my turn.
Arthrid's turn, who hears what's going on. He'll come in here, sees Jen on fire next to him, sees Kai and Rebecca taking a walk in this orb in the center, and he will, let me see, puts his arms up, and the cat starts falling to the ground. Before the cat gets to the ground, the cat disappears. push his arm forward, and this kind of bright yellowish red energy begins wrapping around his arm as it speeds up and flies straight into the orb and disappears within, as Arthrid falls to the ground on one knee, seemingly this whatever he has done taking a lot of energy out of him. As it comes to the guards' turns, trying to make their way towards Eris, but it's a long walk for them. And Mercedes.
I'm gonna go ahead and cast Chill Touch. So 7 points of necrotic damage, please, and she cannot regain any hit points. Start of my next turn.
You put this spectral hand out, and it begins to kind of wrap around her back. You know what this spell should be doing. It doesn't appear to do as much damage as it normally would to this creature. Boros, now it is kind of hard to see her on the other side, but you know she got Spartan kicked through it.
I'm going to get as close as I can to melee range with her. I'm going to go into a rage.
Okay. So that will most definitely hit.
Nice.
Very good.
Oof.
Boros walk up, and with this hand axe that he's just received, seems to know it pretty well, and immediately just slashes through her back. You will need to make a dex save as you have meleeed her and she has the lightning. With advantage, you will get a 15, which is enough to get your arm out of the way as you see this lightning try to jump from her to you. But you are able to back out of the way fast enough before it can carry over. Her turn up next. This lightning kind of seize up her muscles for a second as she attempts to shake it off, and she pulls herself the rest of the way out of this orb, and will still stay right alongside you, Boros, as she attempts to make 2 attacks with her chains. Right, the first one misses with a natural 2. The second one will be a 16 to hit. And that will be 14 piercing damage as the second chain wraps its way around yourself. Halved because so that will be 7. Kai.
Hey, what's your name? You should come and sit down
Francis.
with me. Francis? I think a Rebecca looks really good on you.
Okay.
All the stuff you're wearing looks pretty heavy. I'll watch your stuff. You could trust me on that, right?
Persuasion check with advantage. Sets down his chains and begins taking off his studded leather armor.
Yeah, what's that orb about?
Oh, we're trying to get our friends over. Whoever the hierarchy decides to send. And with that, we go to Orsik.
I will launch a arrow at Ares, and also have advantage, right? Because of the fairy fire?
Yes, you do.
Sweet.
With a couple arrows in her, with slashes, this lightning that's been around her, like, it's all kind of starting to combine and starting to take a toll on her. And Jen, you are up.
I'm gonna go 2 spaces to the right of Boros. My eye contact's directly on Eris. Upper body's still engulfed in flames. I punch right in front of me as the flames swirl around my fist and extend out right into her chest.
Shit.
Sweet.
All right. 18 will hit.
My left fist pushes forward and another flaming burst shoots into her.
That 19 will also hit. So that's 8 fire in total.
Yep. As the second one hits, my upper body explodes. You hear an audible roar sound, and she has to make a wisdom save.
That's natural 1.
And that is my
All
turn.
right. Jin walks up, Boros. You can feel this fire and this presence come behind you. This fire kind of goes around you as it impacts her chest twice. Her eyes and pupils widen, and she starts to turn to run.
I would like to move up next to her. Then I'm going to try to hit her with this short sword.
The 15 will just hit.
I'm going to go ahead and add a smite to that.
Whoa.
Nice.
Sweet.
Ooh.
I'm going to do Searing Smite. That is my turn.
Okay, this comes to Arthrid's turn. You see this kind of yellowish, reddish energy that he shot into this orb is beginning to contest with the purple energy inside. He begins to start running straight towards the orb.
God
Is-
fucking
okay,
damn
He
it.
will run past you, Jin.
I
You
can.
do get a reaction if you would like. Go ahead and roll a athletics check for me. You rolled a natural 18. I will say
Shit.
contest.
God damn it.
Oh
This
boy.
small child just effortlessly slips past you. This kind of yellowish energy starts to push and make a circular hole in the black energy, wide enough for him to dive through. He dives straight in and disappears. The three other guards, other than Rusorth, just saw this kid that they pretty much just met earlier dive into this orb of energy. They saw whatever is happening with Eris. They see Rebecca taking his armor off and setting it down as Kai is having a pleasant conversation with him. They just kind of stand there in awe and shocked of what's happening, as Rusorth will attempt to and will roll with advantage for her longsword attack. That's a natural 4 and a natural 7. Mercedes, you are up.
I want to go ahead and cast Produce Flame.
15 does not hit, unfortunately.
That's my turn.
Boros, who's standing next to you now, there is Rusorth, Juliet, and there is Eris.
Let's make her look even worse. I'm gonna attack her.
Unfortunately, that does not hit. We'll go to Eris's turn. She is currently frightened by Jin, as she is like trying to figure out what Jin is. She's not seen something like this before. She seems terrified of him.
Did she make a con save?
No, she did not. She does need. That was a natural 15, so I think
Yeah,
that would
but
be
it's-
18. Yep.
That's okay.
Alright.
She's still on fire though.
She looks back at you, Boros, and
Ooh,
she's
don't-
gonna reach out and attempt to attack you.
God
Natural
bless.
I don't know you guys do this, but let's have like a little fun game, right?
Oh god.
1. Okay.
So can you have your hands behind your back?
What kind of game are you playing?
Oh man.
You can trust me. You are completely safe with me. We'll have a safe word. Think of a word.
The word is consent.
Go ahead and make another persuasion check with advantage. It's a 10 total for his insight.
Oh, really?
After everything that's happened here, it's nice that we
This
finally
is
get a
wild,
Yeah.
right?
I thought we would die.
He's into this, I guess.
It's like a turtle knot.
And he's into it, so, you know, he's not resisting.
Oh,
While I'm doing that, I'm gonna scream to let everyone know, like, hey, so just to let you know, the orb might bring back some backup. Can I
Where's
quickly
Oz?
also ask Francis, like, oh yeah, so what happens if you jump inside the orb, still tying him up?
I'll allow it since his turn's right after yours. Anything we've ever put in there kind of just like either disappears or gets consumed or gets shot back out at a violent speed.
I'm gonna
Whoa.
say to the group what Francis said.
With both of those turns going up, Orsik.
So he's going to unleash another arrow at Ares and say, if what she said is true, then this last shot is for Orchard. Non-lethal if I can help it, by the way.
Focused on like trying to take Boros with her, and this arrow finds its way. You see her kind of reach up, about to whip this chain around Boros as her body falls limp, and she's on the ground unconscious.
I just
That's what you
Wrap her
get, you
neck.
dirty bitch.
oh shit.
Rebecca or Francis, with the fall of Eris, is beginning to question what's happening around.
I'll just push his face in front of me. No, don't look around. Look at me.
And we go to Jen.
My flames subside. I would just stand there and wait, staring at the orb.
Okay. Juliet.
And is she like unconscious stable or unconscious bleeding out?
Unconscious, bleeding out.
I will go ahead and cast Spare the Dying on her.
As Juliet's turn comes to a close, the guards seem to stay where they're at and not participate at this point. The top of the turn order comes around as you all see this orb begin to expand and contract quite quickly. There appears to be some sort of two powers fighting within themselves, within this orb. This fighting goes on for a short time before you see and feel this yellow expands out from the outside of this orb and begins to wrap its way like a rope all around before it extinguishes.
Is there anything else in this room?
That you are in was the room that the four of you were being tortured in before. But it looks different now. There's cobwebs off in the corner. You look up above the door where this kind of observation platform used to be, and it's just a wall there. It doesn't seem like this room's been used in a long time, and it is completely empty.
I would like to go ahead and further search Erica and remove any weapons that she has.
Okay, go ahead and make an investigation check for me. There's no other belongings other than her chains and her studded leather, but you notice as you're moving her unconscious body around, you see along the back side of her neck this, what looks to be some type of piece of metal that has been embedded into her skin that is currently glowing a purplish energy.
Grab the body. Let's get out of here.
Look at Ruthor. I wanted to apologize for the trouble we made for you. And I wanted to thank you for your help.
I think we should be apologizing. There's clearly more at play here than we knew.
There's a lot more. I'd point to Eris. I think she was the one in charge.
As you all begin making your way up the stairs, without the field of this orb up, these stairs seem surprisingly short now. Maybe but 100 feet or so is all.
She's still gonna walk up to the door just to grab Orsik's silver coin.
I
If
was
it's still
gonna
there.
say you both do see a familiar silver coin sitting out front the door.
And I'm gonna give it back to Orsik for good luck.
I'll let you keep it. I've got all the luck that I need right here. As he gestures to the whole group.
As you get to the top of the staircase, the stone now stops you.
Oh no.
You hear tink, tink, as you begin to see the head of a pickaxe coming through the wall from the other side, picking this wall down as it seems the magical field allowing you to go through has faded along with the orbs. Rusorth and the three carry Eris's body to one of the holding cells and kind of just chuck her in and close the door as two stay on the inside of the cell and two on the outside of the cell. They open up the door to the small holding room and all of your gear is laid out on all the tables. Can I have everyone make a perception check for me, please? Jen, Kai, and Mercedes notice, but for just a second, as Boros is packing his things, a stained and older piece of parchment that he is putting back in his bag that seemingly was put off to the side. And you can see it is signed Siegfried.
You saw in my area this little stuffed tiny snake.
Oh,
It's put back in my pack.
Oh.
That's adorable.
And I'm assuming he's still charmed by me.
He is still charmed and tied up, yes.
Okay, so I'm gonna have him sit down in the middle of his cell, and I'm gonna take out the notebook that I still have real quick, and ask him, "Hey, you look very intelligent. Can you read this for me?"
For the hell of it, okay, just because I want to see your rolls. Persuasion with advantage, but he already rolled insight with disadvantage, natural 1, natural 8.
Wow.
But you know, just
Yeah.
for the
Dumbass.
sake of
Dang.
Okay.
Jesus fucking Christ.
Got this man wrapped around
He
your finger.
is
might
more
actually
than
already beat this
happy
one.
and begins to translate the uncoded undercommon short messages or short phrases that appear to be a name paired with a location and a number. There's a few others that include one of the locations above, troops moving to, and then the location below. And there's quite a few pages of places and names of places you recognize up and down the Sword Coast, further east into the continent, and even within the islands out in the Sea of Swords. This seems to be some sort of log of troop emplacements and movement.
Currently writing everything down.
Easily
Thanks,
enough.
Francis. So why were you here?
In the meantime, I'm gonna be putting all my stuff back into my bag and re-equipping myself.
This is just a forward operating base. Not much. Just mainly meant for scouting. We really hadn't had our proper orders. We were still setting up. Like, we had much more to build.
These are very good information. You're doing such a great job. Why us? Why kidnap my friends?
Wasn't really involved in that. It was all Eris. You know, I mean, you guys did kill our operative, so you were on our radar.
Who was your operative?
I don't know what his name was, but only Eris knew that. It's the base commander, but the guy you killed.
The cave at Bowshot. The Neogi? They're a part of this.
I fucking hate those Neogi. Why do we have to work with them? Want their own structural shit and want to be their own boss, and they never listen to time frames. Like,
Wait, Kai, those locations. There's not one near Silvery Moon, is there?
Kai, make a history check for me. You don't know where Silvery Moon is, and neither does your friend Francis. There's no reference for you up where Silvery Moon is. You're not from that area. And Kai, can I have you in Whispers, please? And can I have Mercedes come down there too?
So Boros, do you know anything about these drow?
Absolutely nothing other than the information they accidentally let me know about. The invasion, the Neogi contact, the operative up here, which we stumbled into. We seem to be really good at that.
I think the really important thing that they told us, she wanted us to give her a name of who sent us to the cave. So there's somebody who they don't know the identity of that's working against them that we should probably find out.
Why was I so important they risked their operation just for me? If they took me in and realized they didn't have the information they wanted, they would have just killed me on the spot. They know something about me that I don't. The wording she used, how she said I was made for something. She didn't elaborate on it.
You four notice that over the course of the next couple minutes, Mercedes and Kai are whispering to Rebecca or Francis in Undercommon and are having a conversation. The spell begins to fade on him, and he begins to get more and more irritable as he realizes all of the information he's just given up, how fucked he is, and is extremely pissed off as Kai and Mercedes make their way out of the cell and close it, and he rips through the rope as he begins banging and screaming at the door. They're gonna find you. They're gonna murder you all.
Yeah,
for
but just
you've
think what
done
they're going to
here
do to
today.
you. You squealed.
Have a pleasant day, Rebecca, as I leave.
Kai, did you write down the locations from that book?
Yeah, I got them.
I look through it and hoping that there's not an area that's close to Silvery Moon.
Yes, actually, there is Everlund, which is just south of Silvery Moon.
Oh,
Associated with that is 562.
Do any of you have a way to send a message? I need you to send a message to a person named Kemala.
Does anyone have an extra parchment?
I have some parchment if they've given us our stuff back. Like our
Yeah,
stuff.
and there's parchment within the guardhouse too, so they get you writing utensils and parchment.
Whatever Kai deciphered, I'm gonna start copying.
Well, we have leads.
Yes, my family member. She's the only living one I have left.
Why is she in Silvery Moon or something?
That's where I grew up in. And if that's close to that, I need to warn her. I think she's dealt with something like this before. I've heard something she did in her travels when she was younger. If anyone has a way to deal with this, it'd probably be her.
That name we got, Kai, that'd be a great place to start.
What place is it?
It's not a place, it's a name.
A
What's the
person.
name?
Rusorth speaks up from the side as she's kind of been looking down, thinking, "It's getting late. How about you all come back tomorrow and we write up a game plan? The guard here is at your disposal for whatever we can help out with in this.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
We'll have a close eye on both of them."
More cities would do the ritual for 10 minutes and then cast detect magic to make sure that Eris doesn't have any magic stuff on her that maybe we didn't notice.
Since she's still unconscious, she has been stripped down, just something to cover her lower section and a simple, like, kind of sleeveless shirt. There's nothing else on her other than your detect magic picks up the piece of dark purple metal that seems to be imbued in the back of her neck.
Okay, but the implanting, I'll go ahead and investigate that.
14, you can tell based on the skin growth around it, the lack of scarring, this was implanted very close to birth. Definitely been in there for a long time. As you all find yourselves drifting off to sleep, and eventually awaking the next morning, you will all be level 4.